What's up, YouTube? This is going to be a short video on how I take an idea and then build it into an MVP. Quickly, I just want to go over my background. I've been a software engineer for about 5 years. I've been using the latest AI tools to increase my efficiency, but I am not a vibe coder by any means. So this guide's going to be more about how I use it to make myself a better engineer and less about just telling Claude what to do. Don't get me wrong, that does happen, but I still review the code. I still put up PRs, even if I'm reviewing them myself. There's a process around how I have made myself the most efficient developer I can be. Okay, so I have an idea for a micro SaaS product I want to build. It's a QR code generator. I've found everything online either costs money or has really strict limitations before you need to sign up for an account and pay a monthly subscription. I think this is a tool I could build in a few hours or even a weekend. The important things that I want to include are local first, so we never store user data on our own server. Once the website is served to them, it will all be locally stored. So something like IndexedDB to store any user data, so we don't actually store that ourselves. From there, we will need to add options to obviously set up the QR code locally and generate it, and then an option to download the QR code or print it. Later on, things to consider are an authentication flow and user flow, because we might need to do things like hosted dynamic QR codes. Cool. So now we're just going through this with Claude. And I actually read all this. Like, I don't just skim over this. I'm reading through that. I need to make sure that this is a product I want to build. Like, I validated my idea here. Actually, I'd already validated it previously. This is when I spent about an hour going through the other day. The other things I do when I'm validating an idea is I will actually go look online and see what competitors exist. There is a few competitors out there. There's several that have a monthly subscription of like $5 or $10 a month. There is one very good public tool that's free for just general QR codes, but there wasn't many like free services that offered local first with like performance and just a simple UI as like the key product. So the things I'm leaning into here that's going to differentiate this from other products is I want it local first, I want it simple, and I want it to always be free. Before we introduce any revenue models like ads or donations or anything like that, the first thing we want to do is actually build the product. So when it comes to what stack I use, I will lean into what's going to offer the best results in the fastest amount of time. Things like performance don't really matter when you're validating ideas. It's more about how quickly can you move. So for me, that's the obvious Next.js with simple one-click deployments and Cloudflare and all of the nice to have tools. So what we're going to do now is we're going to come here and we're going to say .md file. I made a mistake. I was supposed to get that as a .md file, not a PDF. Cool. So we are going to copy that over to my dev machine. You can call this file whatever you want. We are just going to call it plan.md. And we're going to go through this and just kind of make some changes. Actually, we could even have Claude Code do this for us, to be honest. Can you modify plan.md to follow the monorepo structure of this project? We will begin building this as a different app in the apps directory, and it will be called QR code or something like that. Include all the architectural design stuff from the other app in this repository, and then we can begin the work after that. All right, now we're going to go to Claude Code, and in plan mode, actually we can just activate this. And we'll paste this in. While that's running, I use local send as a tool for moving files from one machine to another. So I have it running on my Windows machine and I have it running on my Linux box, which is my development box. I also have it on my Mac and my home lab as well. Again, if you want a video on that, we can go into that at a different video. And to speed this along, all I'm going to do is copy this and paste it in the same directory. And we're going to change the name. As you can see, this is a mono repo with another micro SaaS product I've already built. You don't need to do it as a mono repo. I like this model, especially with tools that are using a similar structure. A good example of using this is I can come in here and I can have a common package, which is going to have things like file upload, download as shared components and things like that. Also, they both use the same auth. So in theory, I could build an auth package, and rather than having it defined in the PDF editor, I can define it as a package. All right, so what I'm going to do, I've got my notepad open. So while I'm reading through this, I'm going to talk to the notepad to come up with the prompt. That plan looks good, but there's a lot of features that we won't implement in the MVP. Things like the QR code table, the donations, the user sign up and stuff like that. For now, all we need is the MVP to prove that the product actually works. So the QR code running locally with the index DB to store it. Can you refactor the plan.md file to ensure we're only focused on the MVP features, but you may include this stuff at the bottom of the file so we can come back to it later. Like, you're probably going to spend almost as much time going over the plan as you do actually writing the code. Something I'll go into in another video as well is like, how much code do you need to know? You don't need anything to start, but if you learn a little bit about code, it's going to help you tremendously. The more you understand, the more you will notice when it goes off track or it makes a mistake, and you can come back and correct it, put it back on the right path, and you can actually structure the project in a way that's maintainable long term. My next video is actually going over the PDF editor SaaS that I built, and we're going to refactor that because I built that in a couple of hours, and there's just some things that it's done that architecturally are bad design choices. So we're going to go back, we're going to fix that, and we're going to make it so if I would want to add more features to that product, I can do that easier. Right, cool. So now we're back. We're going to have another read of this. We're going to actually delete a lot of this stuff because I've copied it. We do want I18N because I offer all of my products in multiple languages. And this is why we check. Like, if we'd have just let this go, it would have done too much work. It would have made mistakes. It would have cost us money. Okay, so from here, we'll jump into plan mode and we're going to tell it what to do. So I'm going to let that plan run. And again, we're still in the planning phase. We've copied over files and folders, so now we need to actually clean it up, make sure everything's aligned before we start building the new product. Now, if this is a brand new project, you could have just had it go in and be like, okay, cool, yeah, here, just run this plan. I use a specific template repository that I've refined over the years, and basically I take that and I will adapt it to all of my products that I build, and then I extend those. So it is a little bit of work up front, but it saves me so much time in the future when we come to things like code review and having to come back to refactor components or code because it's just way more maintainable. Okay, so that's run for a couple of minutes, and now it's going to go through with the plan of updating everything within the directories folder. This is a good example again, like it's gonna delete stuff that it doesn't need to. So basically I'm going to go through and tell it not to delete anything that might be reused later. I don't want you to delete anything that might be reused later. Within step 2, you're telling it to delete a lot of stuff. The only stuff that should be deleted is anything that's specifically related to the PDF editor. Anything such as auth or donate or dashboard or landing or anything doesn't need to be deleted. We will want to make sure that they are toggled off in our feature toggles, but anything that we will use later when we get to that feature can be left in the app. It just needs to be updated to follow the new pattern. Cool, and I'll come back again when that's done. So I've had some back and forth with this, so I'm pretty happy with where it's at now. It's only going to delete anything specific to the other SaaS product. Instead, just rename and recomponentize everything. for the new tool. So all we're going to do is we're going to go auto clear and accept, and we're going to let that run. And again, this video is getting long, so I'll come back when it's done. Okay, so this is finished running, but the first thing to do here, because there's been quite a few changes made, as you can see from the Git diff here, most of this is because I copied over the folder and then ran the prompt. But the main thing was that there was no scripts to run this. So in here, we didn't have our QR build or dev. We only had the PDF build and dev. So I came in here and manually added, and then I came in here and I ran the project locally. And if we go to 3, we can see here that it's running. Now, this is obviously just a landing page based on my other landing page. It's got all the other features implemented, which is nice. So now we're just going to actually go look at the QR code and we're going to see if anything works. So plug my PDF one. Let's see if download works. It does seem to work. So what I will do is I will pull up my camera and see if I can, and it works. It comes up on my phone. So we've just in less than 15 minutes built a very simple MVP for a tool that I'm going to build. Now, this is obviously not finished. There's a lot more that we can do. It's added things like sign in for me, but again, I'm going to remove that. Hasn't done the internationalization correctly, but it has done dark mode, light mode correctly. Basically, all I would do now is I would go back to Claude Code and I would be like, okay, let's continue with this. Let's implement further features. Let's think like Wi-Fi, username and password and security, and then elaborate on those features for this product. Until it got to a point where I was like, okay, I could share this with a community. I could share this with people online. I could publish this and connect it to a domain. And that's really the next few steps that I'm going to take is I will go through and add more features till I'm happy with it. I'll add the internationalization, and I will set up a domain to host this and then get it out into the public to get feedback on. There's obviously way more you can do. You can go through SEO, you can go through other pages. So if I go here, I can go back to the home page and it's got all these different sections. A lot of this I have a template. I might share the template with everyone later on. But it gets a baseline for what you would want in a product like this. This video was about how I validate the ideas, how I go about generating a very early MVP and a prototype. In the next couple of videos, we're going to go over how I make these products expandable and how I can potentially turn them into larger code bases that are easy to maintain via my patterns and processes that I've set up. All right, so we're done with Claude. We built a plan, we checked our market, we made sure it was a valid product to build. We have implemented a plan to create it in code, and now we have all the code. We're able to see that a simple version works. We're ready to expand, but before we expand, we need to commit this code to GitHub. So what I've done is I've gone in here and all I've done is copied all of the non-Claude specific or instance specific files over and pushed them to this branch QR code init. And then what we do from here is we actually use the free Gemini code tool, our code review tool, to come in and just first of all give us a summary of everything. This is an excellent tool to use just to give yourself a history book. If you ever need to go back and be like, oh, I can't remember when I did this, you can use this. You can search within your repositories to see what you've changed, when it was changed, if there was a bug introduced or something like that. Now, regarding the review and stuff like that, there's a lot of things here we might go through and fix. Things like, we want to try and prevent ESLint disables, so that might be something we fix later. Okay, so when I'm reviewing this, I generally look for the high priority ones. Things that are high priority generally means there might be an issue. There will be actually like urgent, I think, as well, which is like any potential like SQL injection or stuff like that. From here, I can see, we don't ever want to use any. So I think this is one we might want to change, but right now I'm not too worried. We're just at MVP stage. In the future, these reviews will come much more useful. And I can go over that in a later video, but this for now, it just gives us an overview of what we're doing, any potential like really bad breaking changes and how we might go about resolving those. I love CodeRabbit. I think it's an amazing tool. I don't think it's worth $25 a month. Like this is Gemini code review is free. It's got 80% of the features. I would rather take that $25 a month and put it back into upgrading my Claude code plan to then take the feedback from Gemini and have it fix those changes. What would I do now? Well, obviously I would need to do a few things. I would need to set up a deployment that I'm not going to go into in this video because the product's not finished, but I would look for a domain. I would look for where I'm going to host it. I use Railway. I will include a Railway link in the description. It's simple one-click setup or two-click setup with GitHub. Love it. It's amazing. It's just, I can't say enough good things about Railway. If you're going for serverless, yeah, sure, Vercel or Cloudflare, great options. I personally don't go down that path, especially for these tools that are going to end up being local first, where they're heavily cached and not really required for that. From there, you would just focus on more of the SEO stuff and implementing more features. But that's about it. So that's my entire process for contributing to some of my new products and how I go about it. All right, so to summarize, in this video, we've basically taken an idea from a concept, we've put it through Claude, and we've tried to generate enough information to tell us that this is a viable product and it's something that we are capable of building in a short amount of time. We've then taken that idea, we've copied it into our template repository, and we've generated an MVP that we can have a play around with and implement more and more features as we go. So if you found this useful, and if you want to know more about me and my workflows as an actual software engineer in the industry, then I'm happy to do that. Just leave a comment on what you would like to see more videos on, and I can try to get those made for you. In the next one, we're going to be going over how I refactor code to make it easier for AI to stay on the correct path and to keep projects maintainable. Until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.